President Biden officially launching his 2024 campaign this week. One thing that was noticeably absent from his announcement video was a mention of the economy, something that could tilt the election in his favor, according to some new analysis. Yahoo Finance senior columnist Rick Newman is here. Rick, tell us about what this analysis shows.
It shows that Biden is in pretty good shape in terms of reelection. The economy is not making a lot of people happy right now. Consumer confidence is pretty weak. But Biden is right when he says there have been more jobs created under his presidency at this point than under any other presidency on record. And that means the economy is just in pretty good shape. So it really matters where the economy is going to be about a year from now or 15 months from now, let's say, in the summer of 24. But Oxford Economics put out their first economic analysis of what the election odds look like. And they think President Biden is in pretty good shape. They think he has a very good chance of getting reelected with an even larger percentage of the vote than he got in 2020. And that's largely because of the condition of the economy.
But what if that condition worsens, Rick? What if we do go into a recession?
Timing matters. And let's point out, there have been economists predicting that we're going to be in a recession for about the last year and a half, and it hasn't happened yet. So there have been a lot of bad predictions about a recession coming. Now there are still a lot of predictions of a recession. We are definitely seeing slower economic growth. Part of that is the Federal Reserve raising interest rates. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to slow economic growth, and they are. So will that tip over into a recession? If it does, and we have a mild recession that is pretty short and is over by this time next year, then that could be an excellent scenario for Biden running for reelection, because a recession would probably help solve the inflation problem. And then by the time people are deciding who to vote for next year, we would be in a recovery phase and things would be starting to feel good. If it's a longer, drawn out recession or a deeper recession, or it happens later. So if a recession starts about this time next year, for example, and let's say it lasts for 6 months, which would be fairly normal, that would be a bad scenario for Biden. So timing matters a lot, but I keep going back to there have been so many predictions of a recession that still hasn't arrived. Maybe we won't have one.
Fingers crossed, Rick. Fingers crossed. We haven't even talked about whether it matters who Biden's running against, right? Former President Trump's the current front runner, but there's a lot of other people who have been potentially throwing their hats in the ring. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We've got Tim Scott. We've got Nikki Haley, right? There's a lot of other folks who are kind of out there at the margins.
Yeah, and this matters a lot. So we just talked about the economy. That's obviously a huge factor for whether an incumbent president gets reelected. But the opposition matters too. Biden was a fairly weak candidate in 2020, and I think many analysts would say the reason he won is because President Trump was even worse as an incumbent. And President Trump has probably become an even worse representative for the Republican Party since 2020 because of all the things we know about, all the criminal and civil legal cases he's mired in right now. January 6th. Right now, there's a civil trial going on involving a rape allegation against Trump. And yet he, by far, leads all the polls among Republicans. So if Trump is the nominee, Biden could just cakewalk into office, honestly, because it's hard to believe that Trump is electable in a general election at this point. So you see all these polls showing that a majority of Americans don't think Biden should run again. I think those polls are accurate. But that's different from when there are only two candidates and voters have to pick one of them. So a lot of analysts think that is how Biden won in 2020, and the same thing could happen again in 24.
Yeah, we shall see. We still have some time to wait. Rick, thanks. Appreciate it. Have a great
Bye,
weekend.
guys.